podcast here. We've got our live webinar, and I have some epically amazing people with me today. I'm Kathleen Titus, your race director, and joined with me today, we have Jarrett Ward, Dakotah Popehn, and Lauren Fleshman, who I'm all going to turn the table over to them in a little bit. First, just want to give you some housekeeping notes here for Marathon Weekend as we're almost a month out. It'll start on Friday, November 21st with the expo opening. We'll kick off with a press conference, and then 12 o'clock noon, the expo is going to open at the Pennsylvania Convention Center. It'll be open until 9 p.m. Saturday, we open 9 to 5 p.m. at the Expo Center. We kick off at 7 a.m. with our half marathon, Dietz and Watson Philadelphia Half Marathon, which all of these amazing humans will be running. And then at 11 a.m., actually 10 a.m., we'll have the Rothman Orthopedic 8K going off. Sunday, we'll have the AACR Philadelphia Full Marathon starting at 7 a.m. So a lot of things happening for the weekend, but I want to jump right into it because last weekend was pretty epic. We just came off Chicago Marathon weekend. I know Lauren just came off of an amazing retreat in France, so I want to hear about it all. So Dakotah, I'm going to start off with you and just say welcome to Philadelphia.
Yeah, I'm happy to be a part of the gang, and I'm really excited to go to Philadelphia for the first time ever.
Yeah, we're excited to have you. We'll also have Alifine Tulamuk, who's going to come in virtual for this group, and she's going to be doing a mom's panel with Lauren Fleshman and Katie Fiore, who actually won the 2024 Philadelphia Marathon on October 27th. Correct, Lauren?
Yeah.
So I think we have a 7 p.m. mom's panel. So many mothers out there and women out there becoming young moms. We're going to talk about all the things from start to finish on that one. So tune in October 27th for that. But Lauren, what are you up to?
Oh gosh. Well, yeah, like you said, I just finished up in September, my first international Wilder retreat, and I got to run in the Alps and explore Chamonix and the surrounding areas and do something I've always wanted to do, which was run to a like refugio, spend the night in it, and then run home. And I'd like to string those together one day and like run place to place to place and have to carry very little because they serve your meals and stuff. It's very simple, but it's like just really cool. And yeah, it's just beautiful. It opened my eyes to international running travel. And now I have another retreat coming up next week here in Central Oregon. And so I've been busy with that, busy with training for Philly. I just ran 7.5 miles this morning and my body's feeling good. I come alive in fall training. It's just like a completely different version of me comes out. I feel lighter and just floatier, and the cool air and the quality of the light is different this time of year, and the leaves changing, all that. It's just like, and I'm a fall baby. I just had my birthday. I turned 44. I'm like, little. Anyway, I'm like thriving. This is my time.
It is crazy. I'm up in New York right now, and the temperature of degree. I'm excited to run tomorrow morning because it'll be crisp. It'll be 40, and I'm used to 50, 60, 70. So it'll be interesting to come off of that. Yeah. Jared, how are you doing? Chicago, and I believe your daughter ran that.
Well, she went out with me. We did a daddy-daughter date to Chicago to watch. We wanted to see Dakotah run. We wanted to see a lot of our athletes from Utah run, and then for some reason in the recent 3-4 weeks, I have just become maybe fitter than I deserve to be, and so I got roped into pacing, and so what was going to be a daddy-daughter trip ended up being a dad's pacing some of the men through the first half, and then hanging out and pacing some of the women for the second half. And so I'm now recovering from 26.2 miles.
You accidentally marathoned.
I did.
I heard a rumor about that. I heard a rumor from some saying, I think he's actually pacing. I'm like, what?
Yeah. KT, I feel like you would accidentally do a marathon. That's not something I would ever accidentally show up and do.
I've actually done a couple ultras and showing.
I believe you.
I did. Hawaii. I did an accidental one. Showed up in the airport on a Monday. Someone asked me if I was running Honolulu. I'm like, no, I'm going to a conference in the Big Island. Puddle jumped over, registered. I don't know how the day before. There's 50,000 people. Had shorts and bought a couple gels, and that was. Dakotah, let's talk about you. What a great race. Tell us about it.
Yeah, it was, it was a good race, not a great race for me. I was definitely hoping to run faster, but honestly, I picked up a small injury in my taper, that a little anterior tib strain, and it kind of was feeling really good like a day or two before the race. So I thought, oh, maybe it's just like in the past, but it kind of snuck back up on me in mid race. So I kind of just had to gut out a small PR there. I call that a rounding error in terms of marathoning when you PR by only 20 seconds. So a lot of disappointment, but I think that makes me hungry going forward, makes me want to take another crack at it soon, hopefully.
Great. So we're excited to see you in the half. So we have Jared, who's going to be competing in the half, correct? Am I allowed to say that, Jared?
Yes.
Lean in.
I'm allowed to give the official thumbs up. We have Lauren, who's got the most amazing party pace with the 9-mile pack. Dakotah, are you just going out having fun? Are you thinking about pacing? Any thoughts, feelings?
I could use a pacer.
Well, what pace are we talking, Jared? Because I think you might be too fit for me.
I will take you.
Yeah, I don't know for sure. I think we'll see how I'm feeling when I start my comeback here, and I'll likely use it at least for a workout, because like, how can you be in a race situation and not run kind of hard? So I think I'll do my best to leave my racing shoes at home so that I can't race it, but I do intend to at least run a hard effort.
So you're coming to a new city. We have a lot of new runners who are almost in the same predicament of you. They're coming. What questions would you have for me and for the group here coming into Philly? Or are you one of those, hey, I'm coming, I'm going to be open to the unfolding, and I know I'm surrounded by amazing people. We like to think that. And really put trust in us. Now, what is it that you're thinking of for Philly?
Well, first, tell me where I have to eat. That's important. Where do I have to stop? It's like the local place that's iconic to the city.
Yeah, we definitely have the Reading Terminal Market, and I'm going to let Jarrett and Lauren, because Jarrett explores with his son Paul is coming in and doing the 8K race, and this race wouldn't be a race if weekend without having the whole, the Ward family. I'm trying to get everyone out there, and soon I'll pull Lauren over to see if Jude will come and run too.
Yeah, he would.
But Reading Terminal Market, because Philly's known for its cheese sticks and its pretzels, but that is like a massive mega food hall attached to the convention center.
Oh,
and then
convenient. I love it.
Yes, extreme convenience.
Yeah.
Jarrett, do you have any other foodie places? Because I feel like you're like a massive foodie when it comes to this city.
Oh man, I love Philly food. It is one of my favorites. And in fact, I have a buddy this year who's running the half, who's coming out from Utah, but he's from Philly, and he is a massive, loyal Philly sports fan, as many are in Philadelphia. And he's like, we're going to this place for a cheesesteak, and you got to get it with whiz.
Yeah.
Is that how you say it, Kathleen?
That's it. That's it.
And he's got all this stuff lined up. But yeah, we love Reading Terminal Market. You get like fresh made pretzels in there that are fantastic, and they have donuts and cookies and sandwiches and like comfort food and breakfast food, and it's amazing. It's amazing.
I agree. And like all these different international foods. I mean, it's just like such a mix. I just like to go in there and follow my nose and go in and like with no agenda and see where I get pulled, It's fun.
Wow. You guys have me hyped already.
Afterwards, if you're lucky, Lauren and I have ventured out just for some oysters and some other fine Parisian food. We've had everything from Parisian food to American, but we do like our dining cuisine too.
Yes.
Stepping it up a notch.
What other questions you got, Dakotah? You got food?
Okay. How about actually race oriented? My brain goes with food right away.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Most of ours do. I've been planning for the IQ reception
Tell me
area.
about the course for the half marathon. What am I getting into? Should I be hill training going into this, or do we have a flat course?
It's considered flat because it's net zero, but I'll tell you the first probably 8 miles are pretty flat. It's going through the historic district. So we do shut down the streets of Philadelphia, going through the most iconic places. But on your back end, around mile 9 to 11, there's a climb that goes up. But well, there's a stretch at probably mile 8 going through University City. It just starts to go, but your real hill is right there, right around mile 9, 10. But you get to come back down it. So
Awesome.
it's, and it's got a fast finish, a really fast finish. Jarrett, Lauren?
I think it's really pretty I think it's a pretty fast course. It's not it's not pancake flat throughout, but you find a good rhythm, you make a good climb. There's this nice, in fact, one of my favorite parts of the race, there's so many favorite parts. It goes through beautiful Philly, which is amazing. But after that climb, you kind of come down this section where you're on this wide road lined with trees. I remember one year they had like lights on them that looked kind of like it was like falling rain or something. It was gorgeous. It was peaceful on this massive road. And then you sort of climb through this park and wind around and then come down for a fast finish. So, there is in the half marathon, I tend to feel like you can fake a half marathon, or you can fake an elite pace in a half marathon if you're racing or whatever for about like 8 miles. And then you sort of know, like in a pro marathon, I feel like you don't know in the half marathon until about 8 miles who, if the pace was hot, who was bluffing and who really is ready for that pace. And so it does hit at that time in the marathon where you have to be tough. So I think this half marathon, I think it is a half where you have to be ready to be tough in those tough miles. But if you can relax and find a really good rhythm early on, the first 7-8 miles really are quite fast.
Yeah, and it's going through the iconic parts. So it's you're through the historic district where the Liberty Bell is, through Chinatown, along our waterfront, and then the back half where Jared is talking about up by our zoo is Fairmount Park, and that's 10 times the size of Central Park in New York. So it's really picturesque. And the finish is along Boathouse Row, which is along our Schuylkill River. So again, it's beautiful. It's pretty. You see different diversity there of downtown Center City and then moving out into the park system with a big finish right in front of our art museum, where the crowds are pretty crazy and fun, especially on Marathon Day, which you'll get to see, being out there cheering and high-fiving everybody and just being part of that energy and that vibe. Lauren, what about for you from pacing? Like, what is it like for you in there when you're trying to pace? What advice are you giving to runners as you're taking that back half?
Yeah, I think that I try to keep in mind that when people are trying to run the pace that I'm pacing, you don't pace for a pace you're not confident you can maintain, right? So I'm not pushing the edge. Like I know the athletes that are running with me are pushing the edge. And so I try to be mindful of that. Just hearing you say, Jared, like that part where the hills come in is the part where you need to be able to be tough. So I start doing more verbal encouragement around that time. I make sure that I'm not trying to hold the pace on the climb, that I have gotten a little tiny bit ahead so that we can climb a little bit slower, and then knowing that there's a downhill to make up time afterwards. And so I just try to be really mindful of that. And then when we go into the quieter part of the course, um, I just think it's a really great time to be in a pack of people, like following a pacer, because you don't have the city noise, you don't have the kind of like energetic buzz coming from the outside, but you're generating your energetic buzz with a pack of runners. And that's its own kind of energy. And I love that the quiet part is near the end, because it's like when you have to, when you're racing your hardest, like you have to go internal in those later miles and really summon what you need to summon. And so I think it's like fitting that the later miles of the course they naturally tend towards that, and you're not being like blasted at the whole time, and that you can tune into one another and people encouraging each other. So I think it's a great course.
Awesome. And I'm going to do a little housekeeping here because we're being asked about our wait list. So all 3 race events are at capacity. We had about a couple thousand people on our wait list. We released a bunch of people today and yesterday that we know definitely won't clear to get into the race because of the high demand. So Currently, we're right around 17,000 for the full, a little over 15,000 for the half. The same for the 8K. As we get closer to race weekend, we'll see people defer and drop out, maybe because of injury, maybe because they're not ready. And as that happens, we'll still allow the amount of people that we have on the wait list to come through. But at this point, we won't be allowing anybody else in. And unfortunately, I think the big question has been around another race that might get canceled due to some federal land that they're on. And unfortunately, we're not going to be able to take any more marathoners. We still do have a small wait list that's out there that we're hoping to clear and get everybody in. But that's part of the excitement too, is selling out. This is actually our 4th year of selling out all 3 events and just seeing the energy. And the goal is we increased it a little bit more for that full marathon so that we really do see 15,000 people toe that line Sunday morning. The same for Saturday for the Dietz and Watson half marathon. And then the Rothman Orthopedic 8K, which is just a fun, fast 8K to watch out there. So some housekeeping notes on that part. And the marathon, as you were talking about, Lauren, what's interesting is because on marathon day, you and Jared have been there. I mean, if you go out to mile 22, 23, it's quieter coming in for the half, but the crowd that comes out on Sunday for the marathon is absolutely ridiculously off the charts.
Nice.
That's a loud crowd in some of the areas that you still get it for the half, but come Sunday, everybody's out there. Our cheer zones are just packed to the gills. And then just the amount of people that are out there. It's Dakotah, I'm excited for you to see that and be a part of even that part. Cause it might be like, wait a minute, I need to come back and run this one.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. I mean, I just love being, oh, go ahead, Jared.
No, sorry. I was just saying it is incredible.
Yeah, I'm excited. I think there's something so beautiful about like the hundreds of thousands of people that come out to like will humans to the finish line. I really felt that way in Chicago on Sunday, and just being a part of any marathon, I think it's like emotional.
Yeah. And I know a lot of people are excited to see you at the meet and greets that we'll have at the expo. I'm excited to see you out there on the course. So we've got plenty of gear to keep you warm, so you don't even have to worry about that. But with the way climate change is going, it's been getting warmer and warmer, although I'm still hoping for the 40s because that's like perfect marathon running weather.
Yeah.
Than the heat that's out there.
And Kathleen, these courses overlap a little bit. So for listeners running the marathon or the 8K, these parts of the course that we're talking about, the start of the half marathon, is the same as the start for the marathon. And that iconic 8K course is sort of out and back along the finish of where the half and the marathon finishes. So these parts of the course that we're touching on and excited about, you kind of get a flavor of those, even if you're not in the half.
Yeah. And we actually changed some of the footprint this year for those that are repeat runners on this to move. Our gear check is going to be over in Maya Park and not necessarily right on the oval. This way, when runners come out of runner food, they can kind of go into the open oval and have more space for family reunions. Again, because of the way that the race is, and there's race maps on the website. So if anybody's looking for the race maps, go to the website, go to your race. You'll see everything on there. Here's a sneak peek. Tomorrow we're doing the medal reveal for all the races. And next Friday we'll do the shirt reveal. So you'll see those on the website, but you'll see the elevations. You'll see the overlaps of the different races. So if you're running the half marathon on Saturday and you happen to be doing one of the challenges, because you could do the half at 7 a.m., then come back at 11 to do the 8K and then turn around and do the marathon on Sunday, which we have a lot of people doing all 3 events. You'll be able to see with the half marathon course, because it does pretty much recycle over the full marathon over the half. And then, as you were saying, Jarrett, that 8K for Kelly Drive going out and back definitely is part of that half marathon course too. So you do get to get some feeling of what it's like to be out there ahead of time.
Yeah, it's cool. And that the marathon course in the portion from where it peels off from the half and then through the end is relatively flat, right? It's kind of out and along the river. Is that right?
It's relatively, there is an incline there that people feel. And you know what it's like when you're running flat, and no matter what the incline is, the slightest bit, it feels like a hill. And you feel that at the finish as well. You're going to notice that when you look at it, you're like, I had no idea that was a hill until you've come back and you're running the last little bit. And you're like, wait a minute, where'd this little sneaky bugger come from? But yes, at Fountain Green, the runners will break off. And instead of going to the left and coming back, Kelly Drive, like the half marathon, we go to the right. out into a city called Manayunk. It's part of Philadelphia town, actually. And the energy is there. They've got probably 30,000 people lining the streets. It's like First Street in New York. You can't hear yourself.
Wow.
There's all kinds of crazy beverages out there. The energy of that town is just absolutely epic. And because we changed the course from 5 years ago to this, that out and back has now created a full 4-mile stretch for those runners coming back, where we used to come out of, you go up to Manayunk, mile 20, you come out, and then from 23 to 25 was pretty desolate. It is now packed with people. So you have absolute massive amounts of people spectating all the way from 20 to 26, which to me it is amazing. You know, as a runner, as a race director, the crowd control is probably my biggest thing, of trying to keep barricades back and, you know, putting cheer zones in places. But from a spectator standpoint, that energy is just off the wall, because everyone knows they can see their loved ones twice. They can see them right as they come down at that mile 16, they can see them go out, and they're going to be able to see them coming in close to the finish.
That's so great. That's a really good design.
Yeah, it's a fun weekend. So now I'm getting the ritual, Dakotah. They want to know what, and then everybody else's. How do you prepare race morning? What is it that you eat? And then immediately afterwards, what's your cool down routine? And how do you shake out afterwards?
Yeah, so before, I'm always eating a bagel with cream cheese and yogurt, which isn't like great dietary advice. I can handle dairy. It doesn't mean that everybody can. That's just usually what sounds good to me. And I think you should definitely gravitate towards whatever you're able to get down. You don't want to be like gagging oatmeal down if you don't really like oatmeal, for example. And then if I'm just doing the half, I will be probably having a long cool down, because I'll be back in training and we'll need to get more mileage in. But food wise, you know, out in Philly, I feel like you mentioned oysters. I'm going to have to probably be aiming for oysters. That'll sound really good. Otherwise, I usually go for pizza, because that's quick, it's easy, and a lot of calories.
We've got some great pizza places. One of the top ones in the country, Pizzeria Badia. We can get you there.
All right. Count me in.
Jarrett, Lauren, how about you? Pre-morning ritual.
Pre-morning ritual. You know,
a race morning ritual, I should say.
No, it's good. I like that. I think pre-morning is kind of
Pre-morning, yeah.
Let's be
before.
honest, to anybody racing a morning race, you're awake in the pre-morning.
You are.
That's it. You know, it's so funny. Like, why do we do this to ourselves? We like set like 4 alarms and have the hotel because we're like so concerned we're going to sleep in.
Mm-hmm.
And then like we wake up all night long, like before our alarm
worst
goes
night's
off,
sleep.
frantically looking at our phone to make sure we didn't oversleep.
Yeah.
I feel like Seinfeld scared us all.
Yeah.
That's such a good episode. Yeah, I like to be, I think when I think of pre-race morning, I think, what have I done every day before I go run? And it's not going to be, it's not going to be the same because you're waking up outside, not in your bed. It's a race day. You've got to get to the race early and get through security, and you've got to do these things. But I think in terms of when you think about fueling, you think, what did I eat, Friday night before a Saturday morning long run when the long run went really well? What did I eat before the long run the morning of when it went really well? How am I integrating what the race schedule timeline makes feasible for my race into my training schedule? So if I have to get up 2.5 hours before the race in Philadelphia, and I've got to be to the gate, 90 minutes before gun, whatever, however you've worked out the schedule, we can try to simulate some of that in training and integrate fueling into that and say, okay, on race day, this is what makes sense to me. Then give it a try in training one day and say, yeah, I'm going to get up and I'm going to eat oatmeal 2 hours before a little bit, and then I'm going to have a gel. and give it a go. And so I like the idea of starting with the framework of this is what has always worked for me day in, day out, and then adapting that framework with a test run of this is what's going to be feasible race morning given what I'm looking at.
It's good advice.
Lauren, I've got one for you. So being that we sell out, this is our 4th year selling out. And for anybody to defer, they're looking at next year's race entry to do that. Give us a mindset of someone before they choose to hit that button. Do I defer? Do I not defer? Mentally, let's talk a little bit about, are you really injured? Like, why do you need to defer? And should you defer, or should you just say, hey, that's just nerves? In there. And some people are like, well, I missed a run. Well, okay, you missed a run, but which run did you miss? Let's talk about that, because we do see about 16% of people just from registration to the start line that just don't show up for various reasons. And the goal that we really want to do is help people's anxiety go down. Everyone gets those jitters. How about let's talk a little bit about what really constitute you should defer versus, you know what? Get out there and start. And I'd like to hear from all three of you, because that mental part is such a big piece of sometimes why someone doesn't start a race or doesn't finish a race. So I'm going to kind of go around and ask all of you this.
Yeah.
Again, we want everyone to get to the start line. And sometimes the mind takes over and makes you think, nope, I'm not ready, when really you could be ready.
Oh yeah. I mean, I can't, it would be difficult for me to think of a race that I had on my schedule that was important to me that I didn't have a moment of fantasizing about not having to do it, getting out of it somehow, whatever. And so it's just normal. Like that's a sign that you care about it. And that there's always, anytime you're pushing yourself out of your comfort zone, there's what my writing coach calls the guardian of good things that stands at the door and is like, are you sure? Are you sure? Like things didn't go just right. Cause like keeping ourselves safe is a priority for some of our I don't know, most like elemental self, right? Which staying safe. But to live kind of this big, beautiful life, we choose these risks and these ways of pushing ourselves that excite us, and they excite us at the time. But yeah, as they get closer, that guardian of good things is going to like sometimes try to get in the way or get you to keep yourself safe. So I would just say, like, first, just normalizing. If you're thinking about deferring, then congratulations, you're a human being. And then the second thing would be just to have like, don't listen to it immediately, right? It's like, don't trust everything you feel. All feelings are real, but like, don't trust everything you feel. So take a minute, sit with it, and ask yourself, like, am I trying to stay safe? Am I worried about perfectionism? Or, do I like really, really need to defer? And some of my most incredible performances came when I wasn't sure if I should do the race or not. And the more that happened in my career, the more I learned not to trust that doubt, because you're just like, it's almost a sign you might have something excellent happen. And so, yeah, just like stay open to the story. I had a coach tell me once I almost didn't run the London Grand Prix in 2011. It was like the last European track meet, a 5K, the year I was trying to make it to the World Championships. And I was having kind of an off day. I had a cramp on my warm up. I didn't have to run this race. Like I was voluntarily signing up for this race. And I went to him and said, I don't want to do the race. Like I have this cramp. It's not going to go well. I can already tell it's not going to go well. And he's like, you don't know. You don't know if it's going to go well or not. And just why don't you just go run it, like, instead of you just run it to go find out what happens instead of to try to like make something happen you've already decided you want to happen. Just go out and see what happens, see if you can do that. And so I did, and I ended up winning the race, qualifying for the World Championships. And then because I did that, I got to finish seventh at the world at the World Championships, which at that point was the highest finish ever by an American in history in the event. And I almost like just cheated myself out of any of that happening. And so, I mean, I'll always remember that as a key moment, and I apply it to all my non-running related fears and anxieties too. Now, just say to yourself, you don't know what will happen. So stay open.
And Dakotah, I guess you were talking about having that injury and it feeling really good. What about, what are your thoughts on this and the times that you're like, okay, I'm really hurt, or I'm not, like this time? Like, Was there a thought process in your mind of, ooh, should I run Chicago or should I not? Or was it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I had felt almost as if maybe I had a stress fracture reaction. So there's of course the fear. I think the most important thing, if your worry about starting is injury related, is seeing a professional and getting confirmation that it's not going to, do more damage, because this one race is really awesome and I want everybody who signed up to do it, but it's not worth taking a year off because you did like extreme damage to yourself. But if you're coming in with like a little niggle, which happens in the taper, it's when I was telling people about my injury, everybody's like, oh yeah, that's a taper for you. Everybody picks up a little like ache or pain, it seems like. And I think it's important to remember you don't have to go for an A day every single time. Sometimes you get experience and you can, have a B day. And I think that's really great too. You don't have to always go for a PR. That seems crazy to think that every time you line up that you're asking yourself to be your best self every single time. And I think something I heard the morning of the race, when I was really nervous, I was wondering how my leg was going to perform and how I was going to do. Somebody said, well, you're not going to ask yourself to do more than you did in practice. Like, don't overcomplicate it. If you were able to run 5:25 in my case in practice comfortably, that's not asking too much in a race. So just, making sure your goals are aligned is, I think, really, really important.
Yeah. Jarrett, you've been through this.
Wow, these are some great answers. This is so thoughtful. I recall, a story popped into my mind too of the 2018 New York Marathon, and I had pulled a hamstring and it wasn't getting better. And about a month before the race, I called up David Monty, who was the lead athlete coordinator there, and I said, David, I gotta pull out of this race. I've missed a month of training and my hamstring still isn't 100%. And he said, well, is it getting better? And I said, yeah, it's getting better, but I'm still not training at 100%. I've missed so much. And David just said, can you run half? And I was like, well, yeah, I can run half. And he goes, well, just come run half. And what he was telling me is, I'll still pay you if you come run half. So fun fact about professional running, if you get really fast like Dakotah, you make Olympic teams, or if you're, US's best 1,500-meter runner or 5K runner like Lauren, then Diamond League races will pay you. So you get paid to show up and to run this race. And so what David was telling me is just come run, start it, try to make it halfway, and we'll still pay you. And I was kind of like, okay, that sounds fun. And I showed up and ran through half and felt okay, and ran a couple more miles and felt like I wanted to hit First Avenue in New York, and ran a couple more miles. And before you know it, I was in the top 10, and I thought, I think I better finish this. And I finished sixth. And sixth is the highest I've ever finished in a world major marathon. And so sometimes you just really can be surprised when you leave yourself open to it. And I think to Dakotah's point, we shouldn't maybe expect to be surprised. That sets us up for maybe some hard moments, but we should be open to which is I love how Lauren always phrases this, is be open to it. Be open to the idea that it might be a good day. And as a gut check, when I hit these types of questions, should I skip a workout? Should I do an extra interval? Should I raise my mileage more than my training plan says? Should I lower my mileage because I'm injured? Should I scratch the race? I think one gut check, I guess I'm going to say two gut checks. The first gut check I do is, what would I tell myself if I was me advising myself? So if I'm a friend, if I was giving my friend advice, what would I tell me to do? And I think sometimes that decouples me emotionally from the choice just enough that I can be like, oh, I would not tell Clayton Young to run another interval right now. He's already had a great workout and he's high mileage, so just be done. Or so I try to pretend I'm giving someone else advice. And the other thing I do is I say, if I fast forward the clock into December and I'm looking back on November, am I going to be grateful that I scratched this race? Or is there a chance that I'll be grateful that I decided to run this race? And try to give that experience of what is hindsight going to look like after this is over.
I love that,
That's a
Jared.
good
That's
one.
so useful. I definitely don't do that enough, but I think that's such a great way to address the like emotional or fear-based or insecurity-based elements of our decision-making process. Both of those things are really useful.
Well, they say like I think so. This is going to get me into a space of science that I'm not really qualified in. But I think one of the things that separates humans from other animals is the ability to see ourselves as if we are looking at ourselves from the corner of the room.
Mhm.
And it's quite an asset. But fear and anxiety, and I think even regret and remorse, those are sort of like animal instincts that I think are shared. And when we're trying to make decisions while we're feeling fear and anxiety or regret and remorse, I think we're limiting the potential that humans have to make good decisions. And I think if we want to make good decisions, we have to make use of this superpower and say, okay, I need to decouple myself from it. How do I pull myself away from it? Well, I frame it in terms that aren't anxiety inducing. If I was giving my friend Lauren advice,
Yeah.
maybe this is what I would tell her to do. Or if I'm looking back on Dakotah's experience, so I think anything we can do to sort of give ourselves the opportunity to do that and decouple can be really helpful.
What else is interesting about that, Jared, is like humans are also, people have argued that because we're social beings, the way we interact with one another is potentially how we have developed that skill. Because you're basically saying be an artificial friend to yourself, and if you're lucky and you have a real friend that is informed enough, they can help you, right? And I
Exactly.
mean,
Yes.
maybe crows do this for each other. I don't know, but but we can definitely do it. And so yeah, it's nice to know that not only have we developed community and this like interwoven reliable network, that we can be that for ourselves as well.
And I'm going to tell everybody, save this recording. And when you're having that mental moment and you're thinking, okay, I should defer, what do I do? I'm not going to go. I don't feel ready. Play this back. Play this back. Better yet, come to the expo and see these guys.
Yeah.
Because they're all going to give you a pep talk to say, you've done it. You've earned it. You're feeling normal. As Lauren said, like you're feeling like a human. We're humans. We have feelings. And to just show up. The
Yeah.
first step. Just stay
Also,
present.
I was just gonna say, like, Jared, if I were to play back the tape of my athletic life, and probably just outside of my athletic life, as that person in November looking back or December looking back on decisions I've made, I would guess it's probably 4 out of 5 times that I've skipped something that I am bummed I did in the future. And there have been times I was glad, but it really is overwhelmingly the majority of time that I'm like, "Man," and the same thing goes with, like, not making that move in the race, not taking that risk to cover the gap, right? It's, like, easily 4 out of 5 of those that I'm like, "Dang it," once I cross the line. So, it's just that's why my position as a coach was always like, do whatever you can to take that risk in those moments of question, to say yes as much as possible until you cannot say yes anymore. You actually physically cannot say yes anymore. If you're asking yourself, can I mentally say yes? Just try it. Say the word, see what happens, see if your body follows.
So that's it. Is there a mantra? Okay, yes, 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 yes. We've got that. Dakotah, what did you have something going on your, through your head on Chicago? Is there something that you lean back on? You're playing over in your head?
Yeah, for a mantra, you're
Yeah.
saying? Yeah, I use the same mantra, which I think I read in a book when I was like in high school or college. And it's I am strong, I am fast, my speed will last. So it's kind of like a rhythmatic thing I can say to myself that calms me down and also helps me just to stay positive when things are hard.
Lauren, is yours yes, yes, yes?
Well, and my actual mantras that I used in my peak competitive years, I developed with a sports psychologist that in a very methodical way. So I saw a sports psychologist because I ended up in this pattern of overwhelming negative self-talk and a series of underperformances that when I crossed the line, I just knew weren't representative of my fitness, who I felt I was, but I was stuck in this pattern of repeating that. So the help that I got that really helped was to write down the negative things that I most commonly say to myself. Just make a list, all the negative things, and then circle the ones that have the most power. Like so I had 5 or something like that. And then draw a line, and on the other side, you're an attorney that's defending you and is saying the thing that you in your strongest moments know to be true, or if you don't know that it's true, you want to believe that it's true one day. You want to be able to look at yourself in the mirror and say these things about yourself and believe them. And so I made those counter arguments and I ended up with I belong among the best, I'm confident, I'm committed, I'm a winner, and I'm relaxed. So I had 5, and those were all based on like, I don't belong among the best, I'm not confident, I'm not as committed as some of these other people, I'm not a winner. And like I'm nervous. So those were the main things that were just like circling around in like a bubbling pot of soup and holding me back. So I think that you can find for some people it's one word or it's a visual image. It's something that like really stuck out to them in a podcast or a book or a mentor. And then for others, making a very specific list relative to your specific insecurities can be helpful.
Jarrett, how about you?
Ooh, this is good stuff, KT. This is incredible.
Mine was easy. It's my race. I'm at my pace. And it didn't matter. I wasn't looking at the watch. I just was like, it's my race. I'm at my pace. Like, just kept telling myself, I'm at my pace. I'm at my.
Nice.
Just follow your pacer, and
That's
she will
it.
lead you.
Until you are the pacer.
One of the things that helped me the most working with sports psychologists was realizing that when I say things like I have to do something, that's prone to becoming anxiety inducing. But when I change have to can do, that's opportunistic. And so some of my most powerful mantras have been ones that have sort of tied together what my why is for a certain race with sort of the opportunistic side of it. And I think I ran my marathon PR when my mantra was because I can. And that one hit me in that race. But you got to be open to the idea that you might spend time thinking about a mantra, and then you might start a race and it gets hard and you tell yourself that mantra and you're like, this is garbage. Like,
Yeah. You're yelling at yourself in the corner.
This isn't doing anything for me. And I think in those moments, we have to get regrounded in the moment. We have to not panic because it's like, oh no, this isn't helping me and I'm nervous and I'm tired and there's 8 miles to go. And then all these things puts us prone to a spiral. And we have to say, okay, right now, I just have to make it a half a more mile at this pace. And I'm just going to focus on this. And then when you do it, now you have positive momentum. Now you can say, hey, Jared, you just did it. That was a half mile and you just did it. Now let's do another one. And you get back into the moment. And maybe as you stay in the moment, something else comes, a mantra comes that works, and grab onto the things that work. But I think to work on it and to be thoughtful is important. And hopefully you find one that really nails and sums you up. But have a backup plan in case you get in the middle of the race and you're like, you know what, that doesn't do it for me at all.
That is so good. I was just thinking about when I ran Boston Marathon and I had this idea of how I wanted it to go. I also made some poor decisions about running too fast in the first half, like a lot of people do. But anyway, but then I ended it up at this place where the only thing I could do at mile 22 was walk. It just was what was available. And so clearly I wasn't having the other race experience I had prepped for and planned for. But and at first it was really disorienting until I could let go of the other thing and then anchor into what's actually happening, the moment I'm in right now. I was in a state of distress. And then for me, what worked in that moment was I was like, this is what's happening. This is what's happening now. Like just acknowledging it. I am walking and I am also was also seeing dead people. And I've told this story on here before, but I was walking and I was having delusions and I was seeing people that had
My
died
God, it
from
was
my
a delusion.
past
Like,
visit
where
me.
are you running?
Or they were real ghosts. We will never know. But I was in that experience and it didn't freak me out because I was just like, well, this is what's happening. And I'm going to keep moving forward at
What a
whatever
mantra.
ability I can. But then I was able to kind of, I mean, I wasn't, I know it sounds weird to say I was kind of enjoying seeing dead people, but I was. At that point, I was like, all right, I guess, it's not every day you get visited by your dad, from wherever, or your childhood friend Justin. Like, this is just cool. All right, I'm gonna do that now. And then I got through that part of the experience and was able to like move a little bit quicker than that at some point. But I don't think I easily could have dropped out without going, okay, this is what's happening and adjusting.
Is
I
there a
think
pivotal race? Go ahead, Dakotah.
I would just like to add one last thing that's not a mantra, but some people might know this about me, that I smile a little bit when I race every now and again. And I think when things are starting to get hard, putting a smile on your face and just convincing yourself that you're enjoying it is important. And something I like to do if I'm really, really hurting is kind of like give the crowd a like, oh, I can't hear you. Like, get louder. And the power you get from realizing like these people are cheering for me. I have the control of and the energy of the entire crowd right now. Sometimes that gives you like at least a false bit of energy that gets you maybe to that next mile. And then that momentum switches.
I think you give so much energy watching you towards the end. Do that. I think everybody's like, she's smiling. She's good. If you're
Yeah.
not smiling, I think we're going to be concerned. You do feed the crowd with that smile and a little bit of like, yeah, and you should be like, come on. Everybody else, you think of all the other sports when they're like, bring it. This, we're winning. We got this vibe and energy with you. That's a game changer.
Yeah, and it's just a good reminder of what we're doing. Like, why are we having road races? Part of it is this individual goal and experience we want to have in our body, but we're doing it in community. Like, it's the race isn't just the runners, it's the crowd, it's the volunteers, it's the organizers, and we're all co-conspiring and creating this thing that hopefully we remember in some fond way or taught us something down the road.
So has the smile always been your thing, Dakotah?
It developed in my first marathon when I was feeling really bad at like the halfway point, and I had seen my dad, and so I put a smile on my face, and the cheers around him got a lot louder because everybody was like, "Oh my God, she looks so good!" And it like immediately switched my mindset and like how I felt, and I was like, I wonder if that was a coincidence. So then when I went back into that dark hole that happens in a marathon, I like put another smile and like revved up the crowd, and it again just flipped the switch for me. So it's kind of the thing I keep in my back pocket when I'm needing some energy.
All right. So Aliphine used to have the hand. Do you guys remember the hand, like her high fiving? Dakotah, I think we might have to get some smiley faces out there for you to hold up and have everybody like, I want this, all pictures to be smiles. Like Dakotah brings the smile vibe.
And that is a benefit, is your race photos turn out a lot better if you're smiling.
You do. You have a great kick and a great smile. I'm like, she looks like she's modeling.
Yeah.
So speaking of that, we did have a couple of people ask, is there a pivotal workout or race? It sounds like Dakotah, that one was big pivotal for you with your dad. Jarrett, Lauren, even Dakotah, was there something that was pivotal that happened in a race or in a training that is like, man, this has changed the way I think about running?
Yes, so many.
Okay, what came first? What was the first thing that popped to mind with you, Jarrett?
The first one that came to mind was as a sophomore at BYU, I finished 5th at the NCAA Nationals, and it was my first time being even at that race. and I wasn't supposed to finish that high, but it was the culmination of 6 months of work with a sports psychologist to be a little bit more positive with myself. And Craig Manning had taken a Jared that was very critical after race performances, I think always just wanting to be better, and had helped me reframe it into a very being a very validating positive Jared in how I assess my performances. And what I found is that led to confidence. When I finished a race and I said, okay, Craig Manning says I have to come up with 3 things I did well before I address anything that I want to do better next time, I would have the thoughtful experience of going through and validating the things that I did well. And by the end of that season, I had a list of like 30 to 40 things that I had done well in 12 races across the course of a season. So when I lined up on the line at nationals, instead of being the Jared that would say, well, I hope this goes better than last time, and then the gun goes off and they started running, I was saying, I'm good at starting. I'm good at getting in a position. I'm good at moving up. I'm good at running on the rail. I'm good at finishing. I'm good at pacing. I'm good at leading. I'm good at covering. And I had all these things that I was so good at. And so in the middle of the race, when things happened, I would say, oh no, I can do this. Like, I've led before, and I can move up on my own, and I can run on a track by myself, or I can run in the front, or I can run. And I just became a different person. And so that was the race that represented the change, but the change was really 6 months of work with a sports psychologist about giving myself some grace, and it resulted in a lot of confidence.
I'm hearing a lot of
What a
that.
great,
Good. That's a great story.
yeah, what a great hack too for like the human tendency to hear the negative things really loudly and sort of brush off the positive things as things that are just like we take for granted, right? It's just like that's huge. What a cool story. Mine would be the first thing that came to mind, very different, but I qualified for the national championships in high school in cross country twice. And as a junior, I ran the race according to whatever my pain threshold was or whatever. I just sort of like felt my way through it at the time. Ended up 14th. I was happy enough with it. But the next year, I was feeling like I wanted to try to win. And there was somebody, Sarah Hall was couple years younger than me, and she was just
I've heard of
on
her.
a tear that year. Yeah, she's quite good. She would do this thing where she would start in the back and then she would just after the first mile just start passing people, and she would pass the whole field and end up in the front and generally win. And she had just done it to me the week before at our qualifying race. So I was like, wow, that was very impressive. And so this time I had this different goal where it was more like tactics oriented instead of just relying on how I felt. And it was when Sarah catches me, I'm gonna stay with her and I'm gonna follow her to pass as many people as possible, which will be happen probably somewhere in the middle of the race because I like to start a little quicker than she likes to start. And I just said, like, no matter what, I'm just gonna follow her no matter what. And when it gets really hard, I'm just gonna say I'll stick with Sarah till that tree. Now to that tree. Like I'll just do that until it's literally impossible to do. And that was my plan. And I managed to do it, and I just kept going into, like, deeper and deeper pain places that I never knew were possible to reach, and I'd look over at her, and she didn't look like she was it was a breeze for her. She had her at one point, she's gasping for air, and her chin is, like, lifted to the sky, your form starts falling apart, and yet she was driving on. And then I would be like, wow, okay, she's hurting too. And so then I would just keep doing it. And I ended up finishing second in the race. And like that whole experience, I was like, whoa, there are levels that I can push through that I didn't know were possible. And there was no looking back after that. I assumed there would be more levels that was yet to the like doors to unlock and how I could push myself. So but from then on I changed the way I raced.
Dakotah?
Yeah, I mean, I do think it's probably that race with my dad. And not only that smiling and using the crowd can be a really effective tool, but also that in a longer race like a marathon, in my experience anyway, it ebbs and flows. There are times maybe at mile 15, you're like, I don't know how I'm going to finish. And then at mile 18, you might be on top of the world again. And just knowing that the hills and valleys are coming, and even though you might be in a really bad spot in this moment, you will climb out of it and feel better at some point, hopefully. So just like keeping your mind open to the fact that even though it sucks now, it can get better.
Mine
I
always
think
got bad at
Dakotah,
18, but by 21, I'm like, I'm back on top of the world again. And I was like, "Oh, please not have the 18-mile doldrums." And I'm sure enough, I get there, I'd be like, all right, I'm feeling great. It's 16, it's 17, 18 hit. And I'm like, what? But then 21, I'm like, all right, I just have to go, 5 miles and then 4. I've got this. I know what my 5-mile run looks like at the house.
yes. I think Dakotah should write a book and call it Smile.
Yeah.
It's fun to hear
No,
these
I will.
stories.
I'll work on it.
I feel like every story you could just tie it to, you know what, you should just smile. And it's fun, Lauren, hearing you tell your stories, because I recently read Good for a Girl, and it's so, you take readers along in this journey that just brings them on that experience through some real experiences in your running career. And so it's kind of fun to hear you highlight these stories, and I don't know, it was fun to listen to you tell those stories and then to tell them again.
Tell them again. Yeah, you're gonna get tired of them eventually.
I'm not. I don't. So,
Love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. So we're coming up on the hours. Any other questions that you guys are burning desire to? We do have another webinar coming up. Again, we have the Moms panel coming up on the 27th, and then we'll have this group back again in November as we get down to that home stretch. But any questions you guys want to put out there? Any thoughts or advice for this group? Because I do have one more ending comment, but I'm going to open it up to you all first.
I would say 5 weeks out is a tough time. So this is a time to stay committed, but also to give yourself some grace, because it's a really hard patch in the training. You're in the thick of it. You can't quite see the light yet. And so try to find the fun, try to give yourself some credit. Don't be hard on yourself. Like it's hard right now, and let it be hard. But find the silver lining.
Dakotah, you're next for some wisdom for our 5 weekers.
Yeah. I would say, kind of just to echo Jared, taking it one day at a time. You are in the hardest part, so don't look ahead on your training log any further than one day. If tomorrow you have 8 miles, that's all you got to worry about, is getting those 8 miles done, and you could deal with the rest after that.
Lauren?
Yeah, I'd say because we are in such a tough part of the training block, keeping an eye on making sure you're getting enough fueling, and pay extra attention to like your rest and recovery if you can. Sleep goes a long way. You can eke out an extra 20-30 minutes of sleep at night. It's a good time to get your phone out of your room for a couple weeks at night. And yeah, you'd just be surprised how much that will help with training absorption. But I love the advice that the others gave. I think it's great.
Yeah, and I'll say, save this webinar. It's going to be saved. Come back, listen to it if you're feeling, the chattering between the 7 inches, the most dangerous neighborhood you could be in, between one ear and the other. Don't listen to it too much unless it's positive. On an ending note, somebody had wrote in here, why is Philadelphia a unique city to race, and what sets it apart from world majors? And I'm just going to add in my thing for Philadelphia and what attracted me to it. Well, before I even started race directing, and I was running globally at that time, was one, it's the city of first. It's where our government started. And on the course, you go past, Independence Hall, you go past the first library, the first zoo, the first hospital. So there's so many firsts in Philly that just has that historical piece to it. But then again, it's also the city of world capital for murals. So it's got a lot of outdoor art that goes on. It's easy to navigate from a perspective standpoint, especially the first half. We're built on a grid system. So you really just make a bunch of rights or lefts and you'll end up back where you started. But then I think the diversity between being able to run in a historic downtown area that's, the number it toggles between 5th and 6th between Phoenix, city in the world, and in the United States, and then going out into our countryside, which really is just Fairmount Park, which is still part of the city, and it's the largest landscape park in the world. For me, is what sets it apart. As far as it being a World Majors, I'll turn it over to the three of you, but I think it rivals the World Majors. I think our expo rivals that of World Majors. I think the race course does. The experience out there, the spectators are pretty much getting there. But again, Lauren and Jarrett, you've done this. Dakotah, I'm going to come back and ask you after you do it.
I would say that
Lauren and Jarrett of Philly,
like from a operational perspective, it is extraordinarily professionally done. I felt like every part of it, from the organization of the expo to, the check-ins and the like where volunteers are on the course, like you really feel like Philly's got it handled. And if you've run a lot of races, you know that that's not always the case. So from that perspective, it feels like a major. And you can kind of let that stuff go and just enjoy your race.
I think it's kind of fun to point out, where do the race directors of major marathons run their marathon? They run it in Philly. And, Philly is a favorite among race professionals, I would say. And I think some of that is because of this, the operational professionalism and the beautiful history of the city. I also think there's just something pretty incredible about Philadelphia, the people. It's the city of brotherly love. Paul and I have really bonded over our experience in this city and have loved our time there. And so much of it is people that are in Philadelphia. It's a special city where people look after each other in a Philadelphia way. And it really is a special place.
And you're right. I won't name names. I'm sure it'll go out on social media, but there are world marathons, race directors and CEOs that do run Philadelphia marathon and want to come down. And it's our honor to have professionals in the sport, in the industry. We want to keep seeing the industry grow. Running is just going through a tremendous boom right now. And we want to keep it growing and going. So I think it's always an honor and a privilege when somebody reaches out on that level and says, hey, we want to come run your race. We want to come see it. Because I do it. I do the same thing, go on to the other cities. I want to see what they're doing. I want to collab because, running is an experience. And it's something that we want to have from that first touch point when someone says register to invitation of saying, yes, I accept your invitation to come and run in your city, to the minute you're leaving, whether it's by plane, train, car, whatever it is, out of here saying, wow, I've got to come back. And I think that's why Philly keeps selling out over and over again. And we just keep trying to up the bar to be up there to say, you know what, you get to a certain number, that's where the World Majors are. And that's what we hope to keep competing on. And one day, I want to see the media center be, my dream. The media center is like the Majors media center. But more importantly, I want to see our kids run, grow to 10,000 kids out there running. And really our youth of tomorrow are going to be our professionals, our youth of today are going to be our professionals of tomorrow and just our advocates of tomorrow in community. So trying to start them young is big, big, big part of me. And Dakotah, I can't wait for you to come in. So, I got to see Dakotah in Oklahoma City and we had a crazy weather weekend there at OKC. We're hoping not to have the same here in Philly, but it's going to be a good weekend for everyone.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, we're excited to have you. And Jared and Lauren, once you're in the Philly family, though, Dakotah, it's really hard to get out of the family.
That's great to hear. I love that.
It's a good family.
It's a great family. I want to thank everybody again for joining us. I'm Kathleen Titus, your race director. We're excited to see you November 21st, 22nd, 23rd for the Philadelphia Marathon Weekend, where we will kick off our expo on Friday, November 21st, starting at 12 p.m., going until 9 p.m. Saturday, we kick off the Dietz & Watson Philadelphia Half Marathon at 7 a.m., Rothman Orthopedic 8K at 11 a.m., and then on Sunday, we have the American Association for Cancer Research Full Marathon, 7 a.m. Remember, security lines are long. We have implemented some strategies to get the lines down, but one of the things about the city are so many hotels are within walking distance It's unlike probably any other city where we do have a good number of you, over 5,000 rooms that are being taken up that are walking distance. You can't just leave your hotel room 15 minutes before the start line. We have warming tents out there, so come take advantage of the warming tents. We will have water at the start. Look at the security protocols that come out. Again, if you're on the wait list, you're one of a handful of groups, because we did release those that we knew wouldn't get in off of the wait list. But we're excited to see everybody. Shirt reveal, medal reveal tomorrow for all of the races. Next week's the shirt reveal. And then race weekend will open up for 2026. If you missed this year because we sold out in the spring, you want to get in on that early, because we have the best rates marathon weekend. But again, we're going to see, these great folks here. Marathon weekend, they'll be doing meet and greets. They'll be speaking. They'll be out participating. They'll be on the course cheering. So take advantage. And again, if you're thinking about, hey, I'm not sure I should defer, it's just the chatter. As Dakotah said, if it's medical, get checked out. If it's more, I'm having a chatter between 7 inches, play this back, listen to us again, or show up and we'll give you a great little pep talk to say, you're doing great, you're human, as Lauren said. So again, thank you all for being here. Dakotah, welcome. Can't wait to see everybody on October 27th, where another infectious smile is going to greet us with Alafine. She'll be a part of that. And then Katie Fiore, who actually won our 2024, who just had a baby girl, Cassie. I'm allowed to say that now. And she just went for a run with Cassie. So last week, and I'm excited just to see her. So good stuff coming. But again, thank you all. And we'll see you at the next live.
Thank you.
Thanks all.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.